Well, that was a doozy last night. Kamala Harris sitting down with Brett Baier on Fox News. And here to analyze it and talk about it is friend of the show, Bill O'Reilly on KCMO. Watch him every night. Get your subscription at BillO'Reilly.com. You can get a bunch of the books as well when you're a subscriber. I see that Confronting the Presidents is well on its way, still in the New York Times bestseller list. Bill, good morning. Thank you for being here. So who won last night, if anybody?
Look, Kamala Harris did not help herself. The people who are going to vote for her will still do it, and the people who don't like her will like her less. I like her less today than I did yesterday. Never a supporter of Kamala Harris, but now I feel she's obnoxious. I mean, she didn't answer one question. Baier asked her 9 specific questions in the 28 minutes. She did not answer one of them directly, and that was a strategy. They came in and said, we're not going to answer his stupid questions. We're going to just bash Trump and then go into generalities like, here's my plan and, all this nonsense. So that's insulting to me as an American. So this woman wants to be president, and she simply won't answer any specific questions. And the questions weren't complicated. I mean, here's the question. How many illegal aliens would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the past 3.5 years? And the woman goes, well, I'm glad you asked the question because I agree with you. It's a topic of discussion. Well, yeah, okay. Answer the question. It's like you do this for a living, so do I. We have a guest, and you say to the guest, hey, you think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl this year? And they go, I like to go to the mountains and hike. What? It's the same thing. So you're interviewing somebody who basically says, look, I'm not going to answer any of your questions. I don't care how you ask them. And not only that, but I want you to interrupt me so I can tell you to shut up, that you're boorish. This is a strategy. This whole thing is a strategy.
So
I'm sitting there going, this is absurd. This is like the old Twilight Zone show. Go ahead.
So, Bill, then what's the strategy? You mentioned the strategy, but why would they think that strategy going into this conversation with Brett Baier last night would help her with any voters who are still undecided?
Because nobody who her core vote, people who are going to vote for her, okay, are not Fox News viewers, and they have nothing invested in Fox News or Brett Baier. They don't care about FNC or Baier. To them, they don't exist. So she can insult them, whack them upside of the head. She can pour water on them. It doesn't matter. And now, if somebody were really sincerely undecided about who to vote for and watched that interview, they couldn't possibly vote for Kamala Harris. How could you possibly vote for her? She does not have one solution that she's willing to talk about to any problem. Oh, my plan is what plan? You want to give everybody $25,000 for first-time home buyers? That's unconstitutional. You'll never get it passed. You got a $35 trillion debt. You're going to give everybody $25,000? You hand it to them? That's not a plan. That's a fantasy. It'll never happen in a million years. It's like somebody running for president goes, everybody who has diabetes, I'm going to cure you. I'm coming to your house and curing you of your diabetes. You go, what? What are you talking? It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so how can you vote for somebody who's that irresponsible? That's my take.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that she did this interview, Bill, because she sees internal polling that has her behind and she felt she had to go in there, take on Fox, beat up Trump, show she's tough? Is that the strategy?
Yes, there was some of that. Look, she doesn't look good on any interview shows.
Mm-hmm.
Even The View, she can't handle it. Is there anything you would do differently? No. Okay, that means Afghanistan surrender. All that Dubai was great. 10 million illegal aliens running around on Superway. That's fine. She looks stupid. And I'm using that word literally. I don't think she's a stupid woman, but she looks stupid. So they say, oh, yeah, let's go in and she'll kick Baier's butt. And here's how she'll do it. She'll goad him into interrupting, and then she'll say, don't interrupt me, I'm not finished. And she'll look tough and authoritative and presidential. That was the strategy.
Bill O'Reilly is here on KCMO Talk Radio. So now, from Donald Trump's perspective, Bill, how does he react, respond? How does his strategy change, if at all, these next 2.5 weeks?
Well, he's not going to change the strategy. Trump doesn't do that. Trump is going to go to the end, Trump being Trump. If you talk to his campaign people and you say, maybe he wants to lay off eating the Cocker Spaniels, that's probably not getting him a lot of votes. Their reply is every single time, well, Trump's being Trump.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all. Mm-hmm. He's going to ride off into the sunset being Trump, or he's going to be in the Oval Office being Trump. But he's just not the kind of guy who sits down and says, maybe I can do this better. He just flies in the moment. Mm-hmm. And, some people admire that. I would like a little bit more discipline. But he believes that he's been successful so far doing that.
Was it smart to not take a second debate?
I would have taken the debate, but she wasn't going to answer any questions in the debate. Mm-hmm. But I would see, here's a mistake that they all make. Trump made it in the first debate with her. Baier made it last night. And it's so easy, Mundo. It's so easy. Write this down. In real time, you tell the audience what she's doing. All Baier had to say was, Madam, I just asked you how many undocumented aliens you believe came in under your administration, and you won't answer. Now, that's okay. Just tell me that you're not going to answer so I can ask the next question. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You define what's happening to the audience. And you could have done that for all 9 questions. She wouldn't answer on the paying for the trans convict surgery. You could just say, look, you say you're going to follow law. All right, but what law? I mean, are you going to pay or are you going to not pay? And if you don't want to answer, tell me and I'll move to the next question. Mm-hmm. It's so simple to do that. If somebody evades your question, you just say, I think you're evading, but if that's okay, I can't force you to answer. But if you're going to not answer, just let me know. Can you tell me yes or no? That throws them off their game, see?
Mm-hmm. So as someone who has spent 50 years doing this, Bill O'Reilly, including multiple presidents, how would you rate Baier's performance last night?
He was good because, look, in order to do what I just suggested, you have to have that strategy. Harris had a strategy, Baier had a strategy. It's like a prize fight. I've interviewed 6 presidents, and all of them I thought deeply about how to ask and what to do because I anticipated their answer. I don't think Baier anticipated that she wasn't going to answer any questions. That was his mistake. Because she never answers any questions. Ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so he should have known that was going to happen and been prepared to say to her and the audience, okay, you don't seem like you want to answer that. Should we go to the next question, or do you want another shot at it? Very politely. I'm not that polite. Baier's much more polite than I am, and that's a good thing for him. I'm not suggesting you be like me. All right? I'm sitting there looking at the going on, are you going to answer or not, lady?
Yeah.
That's not real good. But his deficit there, Baier's deficit, was he didn't anticipate what her strategy was going to be.
So with that, I want to look back on your career real quick, doing all the presidential interviews. Who is the toughest for you of the 6?
Excellent question. Excellent question. So when I wrote Confronting the Presidents, and thank you for mentioning it's a huge bestseller, and we hope everybody considers it, it was easier for me to write about the presidents that I know personally. And the toughest guy to interview was Obama. Bush, I could say to Bush, and I did, I was grilling him about the media just absolutely pounding him, and NBC News being the worst, and he wouldn't answer the question. So I said to him, just as I said to you, it doesn't seem like you want to answer that question, Mr. President. Am I right? And he just smiled. He goes, Factor, I said what I said. Okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then I asked the next question. Obama much more articulate than Harris, number one, and smarter than Harris, number two. He knew where I was going because he knew his vulnerabilities. And I used a clip on the No Spin News earlier this week of my interview, which is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. You know, I get this call from the Obama people in 2008. You got to show up in York, Pennsylvania, and do the interview. It's exactly the same thing as happened to Baier. And both Obama and I knew where his vulnerabilities lied, and overseas was big. And I used a clip on Iran, which is still relevant today, all these years later, 16 years later. And he was dancing, and I go, look, you're going to be president. You have to have a strategy on Iran. Do you? I was more confrontational, obviously, than Baier. And then he said, I'm not going to tell you. It would be irresponsible of me to tell you what I'm going to do, which Trump does. He does that.
Yeah.
So Obama was probably the hardest. Trump, to his credit, you ask him a question, he'll give you an answer. It might be loopy, but he's answering.
Yeah.
He's not dodging. All right? I don't have to do that. Hey, you're not answering a question, Mr. President, with Trump. He answers them.
Well, speaking of Trump, it looks like in 2 weekends, Bill, he's going to be in your backyard at Madison Square Garden doing a big rally right before the election. Does that make strategic sense for Donald Trump?
Sure, it's psyops, psychology. He's going to do the rally. It'll be packed to the rafters. People will be screaming. It's the Rolling Stones, okay? That's what it's going to be. And he's going to go out and bask in all his adulation. It'll go all over the place. He looks like a winner. He looks like he's got momentum. This is New York City, a liberal place. Look at all these people. They love him. And so it's what they call psyops, psychological operations. And that's why he's doing it.
Okay. All right. So it does make sense. But it's better to do that than maybe spend an extra day or two in Pennsylvania or Wisconsin or Michigan, any of those swing states?
They don't want both of them. They're fed up with them. I mean, how much do you want to see a Trump and Kamala in the swing states?
Yeah.
I mean, they're exhausted.
Yeah.
I mean, they go door to door. They visited every single citizen now. All right? Get off my lawn.
Fair. Okay, fair enough. Bill, last thing, I saw you were at the Mets game last night. You know that we've got that team in common. 8-0 loss. They're going to bounce back in Game 4, or are they on the ropes here?
I don't know, but I know why they lost, because they all watched the Kamala interview before the game. And they were so depressed that they went out, I can't play baseball after that. Whereas the Dodgers live in L.A., they don't care if Kamala's elected or not.
Yeah.
And they're going, yeah, Kamala, we know her. So the Mets, they let the politics get to them. Look, the Mets have had a magical season, no doubt about it. I was at the game, and I knew they were going to lose after they you can't walk all those people. And I don't want to do a sports set here, but, you know, if you see your pitcher laboring out there, one of your big gun pitchers, and he couldn't control the ball, and then, you know, Mets can never hit with men on base. So once they get behind by two or more, it gets to be very, very tense.
Yeah.
I felt bad for them last night. They got waxed. They could certainly come back. They've done that all season.
Yeah. Well, I do know this much, too. Taylor Swift's asking for you, Bill. She's trying to get together at Arrowhead Stadium, so we're still working on making that happen. And you hold Confronting the Presidents up.
Yeah, I'll give her a signed copy of Confronting the Presidents, which I'm sure she wants. If we can do a little détente for that, that'll be great.
Well, Bill, thank you as always for the time on KCMO. So appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.
You too, Pete. Thanks for having me in.
Excellent work. Bill O'Reilly on KCMO. Confronting the Presidents is the book out right now. It's right there on the New York Times bestseller list. We always appreciate him on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.